Mercedes Moné has once again stirred up conversations among wrestling fans, especially WWE supporters, after sharing her thoughts about her former employer. Whenever she talks about WWE, it tends to spark discussion and often controversy, regardless of whether her comments are positive or negative. That's partly because Moné is one of the more polarizing figures in wrestling, known for her confident persona and the strong reactions she draws from fans. Another reason could be the tribalism in the wrestling community, where many believe you can't support both WWE and AEW. If you're an AEW fan, you're expected to dislike WWE, and if you're a WWE fan, AEW is often viewed in a negative light. It's a strange mindset, but that's where the wrestling world finds itself in 2025. Every time Mercedes Moné mentions WWE, the conversation reignites. Even now, fans regularly comment on her social media, urging her to leave AEW and return to WWE. Many insist she was better in WWE and that anything involving AEW is automatically a downgrade, which is a narrow way of thinking but a common one in today's fandom. Moné herself has spoken highly of her time in WWE but has also been very honest and direct about her experiences there. Her WWE career ended after a highly successful run in which she main event WrestleMania, competed in numerous high-profile matches, captured multiple championships, and engaged in legendary rivalries. She was also a major player in reshaping women's wrestling through her work in NXT and on the main roster. Recently, Moné appeared on the Marking Out podcast, hosted by MVP, where she reflected on her time in WWE, particularly in NXT. She credited Triple H, Dusty Rhodes, and William Regal for pushing women's wrestling forward during her early days. She recalled how Triple H took control of NXT and, alongside Dusty's passion for his students, created opportunities for women to shine. Moné spoke fondly of Dusty Rhodes, saying she loved working with him and Regal. She remembered the first women's match she saw in NXT, Paige vs. Emma, which lasted about 20 minutes. That match inspired her deeply because she had never seen anything like it before. She immediately knew she wanted to be part of that kind of wrestling and became determined to make her mark. Her drive eventually led to her competing in the famous NXT Fatal 4-Way match with Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Bayley, which fans believe stole the show. She went on to win the NXT Women's Championship and had a career-defining match against Bayley at NXT TakeOver, Brooklyn in the Barclays Center. According to Moné, that match elevated women's wrestling to a new level. She believes it changed the perception of women's wrestling within WWE, especially because Vince McMahon himself saw the match and recognized its significance. Once Vince was convinced that women could deliver that level of performance, change became inevitable. It's true that NXT helped transform women's wrestling, but it's also important to acknowledge that other promotions like TNA had already showcased talented female wrestlers such as Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, and ODB. They were trailblazers in their own right, but WWE's platform gave women's wrestling a different kind of visibility that helped shift mainstream perceptions. Paige and Emma were pioneers in WWE's transformation, but Moné's match with Bayley at TakeOver, Brooklyn was undeniably a milestone moment. By that point, there were already signs of change within WWE. The Give Divas a Chance movement had been gaining traction online, fueled by fan frustration over how women were being booked. Wrestlers like AJ Lee spoke out about the lack of opportunities for women, calling out WWE's booking decisions. These movements didn't change things overnight, but they built momentum. Historically, WWE limited women's matches in both length and style. They were often told they couldn't wrestle like the men, couldn't throw punches, and had to perform a less aggressive, more diva-like style. Different wrestlers have different perspectives on this era. For example, Chelsea Green has defended the diva label, saying she aspired to be one and didn't see it as negative. But WWE eventually moved away from the term and began calling everyone superstars to eliminate the divide between men and women. Moné, along with Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Paige, Emma, AJ Lee, and yes, even the Bella Twins, were all part of the shift toward treating women's wrestling more seriously. Each brought something unique. Some had incredible in-ring skills, others had undeniable charisma and a strong connection with fans. Star power is often the deciding factor in wrestling. Even a wrestler who isn't the most technically skilled can become a massive draw if they connect emotionally with the audience. Hulk Hogan is an example, not known for his technical wrestling, but beloved by fans and one of the biggest stars ever. Steve Austin is another case. When he was injured and couldn't wrestle, WWE still kept him on TV because fans wanted to see him. Mercedes Moné is a modern example of that same phenomenon. Even after leaving WWE, her star power followed her to New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW. many fans still hope to see her return to WWE, which speaks to the lasting impact she made there. Charlotte Flair herself has acknowledged that the main event of WrestleMania 35 in 2019, featuring her, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey, only happened because Ronda was a mainstream star. That kind of star power makes it possible for women to headline major shows, something that once seemed unimaginable. In the past, the idea of women headlining WrestleMania or even a Monday Night Raw was almost laughable, but pioneers like Moné and her peers broke through those barriers. She is absolutely right to say that her match with Bayley changed things. It was a pivotal point that proved women could deliver main event caliber performances on the biggest stages. Speaking of trailblazers, Becky Lynch has also been in the news recently, showing that the momentum for women's wrestling is still strong. Becky, who was part of that iconic Fatal 4-Way in NXT with Moné, continues to make headlines in 2025. She recently made waves by calling out WWE management for what she described as creative stagnation in the women's division. According to reports, Becky has been pushing for more long-term storytelling and deeper character development for women wrestlers, rather than short-term feuds with little build-up. Becky has also been vocal about wanting to face newer talent rather than just recycling the same matchups over and over. She's expressed interest in working programs with rising stars like Lyra Valkyria and Tiffany Stratton, believing they could benefit from the spotlight. Her recent match at SummerSlam 2025, where she faced Rhea Ripley in a brutal, hard-hitting bout, received critical acclaim and reminded fans why she's considered one of the best in the business. The match even trended worldwide for hours after the event. There are also rumors that Becky is negotiating a new WWE contract. Some insiders claim she's looking for a deal that allows her more creative input into her storylines, similar to the kind of control top stars like John Cena and Roman Reigns have enjoyed in the past. Given her influence and star power, WWE might be willing to meet her demands to keep her from exploring opportunities outside the company. AEW would certainly jump at the chance to sign her if she ever became a free agent, which adds more intrigue to the situation. This ties back to Moné's point about star power. Becky Lynch, like Mercedes Moné, draws fans wherever she goes. People tune in to see her not just for the matches, but for the larger-than-life personality and the stories she brings to the screen. It's proof that in wrestling, connecting with the audience is just as important as delivering in the ring. Both women's careers also highlight another crucial point: the importance of seizing opportunities when they come. If Triple H, Dusty Rhodes, and William Regal hadn't believed in Moné and her peers, the NXT women's revolution might never have happened the way it did. If Becky hadn't embraced the man persona in 2018, she might not have become one of the top stars in the industry. Wrestling history is shaped by these key moments where talent meets opportunity, and the result can redefine what's possible. In the end, Mercedes Moné's comments aren't just nostalgia, they're a reminder of how far women's wrestling has come and how much more it can still grow. Her career, along with the careers of Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, and others, proves that women can headline, sell out arenas, and captivate audiences worldwide. It's no longer about whether women belong in the main event, they've already proven that they do. Now it's about continuing to give them the platforms and stories they deserve. Moné's journey from WWE to AEW, and Becky's ongoing influence in WWE, both serve as examples of what happens when talent, opportunity, and fan connection come together. Wrestling fans can debate endlessly about which company is better, but the real takeaway is that stars like these transcend those boundaries. Whether in WWE, AEW, NJPW, or anywhere else, their work changes the industry, and while fans may still argue about where Moné should wrestle next, one thing is certain: her legacy is already secure, and her influence on women's wrestling is undeniable. Do you agree with Mercedes Moné's view that her match with Bayley at NXT TakeOver, Brooklyn, changed wrestling forever? Or do you think it was just one piece of a larger movement that was already underway? Either way, the conversation she started is one that wrestling fans will keep having for years to come.